Hmm. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Well, so happy Sunday at 5 o'clock, wherever you might be. My name is Reverend Denise Schubert, and I am here to bring you this week's Sunday Night Alive. I am the founder and director of A Life of Spiritual Power. A Life of Spiritual Power's sole intention is to raise consciousness on this planet by means of you and me. So we transform ourselves, and as we do that, we transform the world we live in. So before I get started, if you're on the stream, say hi. You can. There's a chat room. There's a chat stream here, and you can say hi to me and hi to each other. I'm hoping you are having a very good week. My world here is loosening up a little bit. I actually went to a dinner theater performance the other night of Dean Martin and Friends, and with about, I don't know, I think there were about 100 other people there, and it was so much fun to get out and to play with people. So I'm hoping this is a sign of many, 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 many more things beginning to loosen up as the COVID numbers go down. So our topic today is trust yourself, trusting the self. And, when I first did this topic, I wasn't really sure what we were going to talk about today. I woke up and thought, well, what did I mean? What did I mean when I made this up? And it's worked out. I just really enjoyed preparing for this today because, part of why we come together, part of why we do the work is to step into a more spiritual way of living, a more powerful way of living, a more creative way of living. And it just occurred to me, I did not pray us in. So I think I'm going to do that first. Before we keep going, I'm going to pray us in. I'm just going to speak a blessing on us so that we can get maximum value out of our time together. So just take a moment and join me as we turn within. And we turn within to pause in this day, to simply just pause, to come out of the busyness, to let go of anything that's on our minds or on our hearts, anything troubling us, any problems needing to be solved, or even any joyous things happening after we have our time together. And we simply just open our minds and open our hearts. We become receptive to being shifted, changed, uplifted, inspired, whatever is here for each one of us tonight. And so I bless our time before it even begins, knowing that it is whole and perfect even now. And so we let it be that way together. We do it by saying, and so it is. Okay, that's better for me. So when we're not in our power, when we're not living a spiritually balanced life, there are some ways of being that many people feel. I've been doing ministry now for about 20 years. I've been teaching these principles for about 20 years. And I know that there's this essence of powerlessness versus powerfulness, that of living kind of as a victim rather than as a creator of consciousness or a creator of your life. And we either have the ability to create a life we love, or we don't have the ability to create a life we love. And my goal is always to be creating my life the way I want it to be. And I want you to create your life the way you want it to be. And we all have a self with a small s and a self with a capital S. So we have the conditioned self, the man-made self, the historical self, whatever you want to call it, the domesticated self, the conditioned self. And then we also have right there with us, often not unknown to us, that we have a God self or a spiritual self. We have a self that is imbued with all of the powers, capacities, and capabilities and skills of whatever it is that created us and all things. So the same thing, you can call it whatever you want. So the thing, whatever it is that created mountains, created you. Whatever it is that created nature, created you. Whatever it is that created porcupines, created you. Whatever it is that created our human bodies, created you. That, and the you is not your body. The you have a self that is a part part and parcel of the divine self, the God self, the quantum physical self, whatever floats your boat. You can just know that there's a power greater than you, and you are a part of it, like a wave in the ocean. Abraham Hicks speaks of a non-physical you that is connected by a golden cord to your physical you, so that you and I really exist in two domains of consciousness, one physical and one non-physical. And this non-physical part of you is eternal, birthless, deathless, adores you, has the perspective of your entire eternal journey, and is present to support you and to give you what you need in order to create in this realm perfectly. So you might even think a little bit of this as might even being what God is, that God, your higher self, is in reality your higher self. So so the big question for me always is how does a person move out of normal life, right? The ego life, the mental life, the material life. How do we move out of that life and embrace more powerfully our spiritual self and this self that if it's here will really wow us, kind of. You'll just be wowed by the whole darn thing. So the first step probably is just to simply awaken to the fact that it's there, like to believe it, to give up skepticism and pessimism, and to move out of our agnostic points, maybe even our atheist points, to really understanding that there is something mysterious going on here. So to make it welcome, to recognize it and to invite it. That's the first thing. It's like, I would even call that a realm of possibility, to just believe it exists. Now, in my experience, a couple of things need to happen to make this, to get in touch with this greater self of yourself. One is to leave the past behind. We all know that we have somehow got to get over our upbringing. We have to get over the things that we're clinging to. We have to get over any resentment, guilt, any anger, any thought that we could be held down by our past, any thought that whatever happened to us made us puny. We are not puny. So there's this element of getting over the past. The second one thing that needs to happen, which is I think maybe even harder, but probably goes part and parcel, is if we have to give up, we have to stop trying to impress people. We have to stop people pleasing. We have to stop trying to get people to like us, because what happens is we then become inauthentic. We then become what other people want us to be, and we lose sight of our vision or our mission or our purpose for being here, right? So if you're trying to make sure that Susie thinks you're great, then you're going to pretend things. You're going to make up things. You're going to conceal things. So we have to become more authentic than we've ever become before, willing to be yourself. There's a place in the Bible that says, in order to shine your light, in order to raise up, in order to envelop and become the spirit of you, you have to rise above them. And it doesn't mean being better than other people. It means you just have to come out of everyday materialistic thinking and give some room to this broader perspective. And then the third is to actually believe in a quantum universe. You have to believe that we live in a universe that is not made of molecules. It's made of consciousness, that all form arises from consciousness. All things arise from consciousness. Tables did not make themselves. Nothing makes itself. We live in a universe of thinking, of intelligence. Einstein, I love this quote by Einstein more than almost any quote, and I totally get what he was saying. Is he said that, here, let me bring it up for you. He said that the most important decision you will ever make is whether or you live in a friendly universe or in a hostile universe, in a positive universe or in a negative universe. So why is this the most important decision you will ever make? Well, it's the most important decision you will ever make. It's because once you understand how this universe works, once you understand the nature of the spiritual universe, you will understand that you create reality by virtue of what you believe. So if you believe that the universe is unfriendly, you're going to encounter unfriendliness. If you believe this universe is a friendly universe, you're going to encounter friends everywhere that you go. If you believe it's positive, you're going to have positive experiences. Jesus, one of the very first metaphysicians, said, "It is done unto you as you believe." So it's important that that you pay very close attention to your thoughts, to your history, to what you think, to what you believe, and then decide to live a spiritually powerful life. Living a spiritually powerful life is a decision that you will make, is a decision you must make. And decision and commitment go hand in hand, because once you decide and commit, something magnificent happens. I want to share with you something from William Hutchinson Murray called Goethe's Couplet. And it has to do with how the universe works. It's the rules of the game. So this is what he says. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elemental truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. The elemental truth is that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. I have learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. So this beautiful writing is talking about how your consciousness, grounded and committed to a decision that you make, consciously make, how that invites in money, it invites in support, it invites in help. It makes all those crooked spaces straight. It elevates valleys, it levels mountains, all stemming from your decision. So Tony Robbins, one of our most popular motivational speakers, very powerful guy, says using the power of decision gives you the capacity to get past any excuse to change any and every part of your life. If you believe in hardship, failure, and evil influences, I assure you that you are so powerful that they will show up in your life. That's almost like an invitation, right? Because one of the things we teach and talk about and use as an example is what the universe only says yes to you. That the mental laws and spiritual practices, and by the way, this isn't God saying yes or no. God listen, where God sits in all of this is God gave us spiritual laws and principles with which to use and which to create life. And wherever God is, God's just loving you unconditionally all the time, loving you, adoring you, rooting for you, right? And we're down here using what's been given to create. And so if you believe in these failure and evil influences, they will find you, because that's just how that's the rule book of Earth. It is done unto you as you think. It is done unto you as you believe. It is done unto you as your attitudes. And then once all those bad things happen, then we try to figure out who's to blame, whether it's the government or the economy or the pandemic or your parents or the boss. And it's a powerless life. That is a powerless point of view. So the best thing you can do, right, is to, one, just take responsibility for everything. Stop blaming people and to begin to think, believe in an easy life, believe in a successful life, believe that it's a friendly universe, believe that, be optimistic and hopeful, positive expectation. 9 out of 10 people have negative expectation, which means they don't expect things to work out for them. They think that the other shoe is going to drop. They're afraid. The small self is afraid to be disappointed. The small self is afraid to appear foolish. The small self is afraid to be called what's that optimistic girl? The rose-colored glasses, because they're afraid to be judged by people. The authentic self, your capital self, has no such fear. It's sure. It's confident. It's powerful. It communicates. It moves forward. It steps. We want to activate that self. We want to trust that self. The other self, your ego self is not trustworthy because your ego self is not for you. Your ego self is, by design, needs to keep you humble and just a little bit afraid. It's not who we're meant to be. So Amit Goswami, how many of you saw What the Bleep? It's now kind of an old movie, but it's a movie about quantum physics, done very well with Madeline, Marilyn. I can't remember her name right now, but a deaf woman. It's very well done and makes these very complex quantum physical ideas very easy to understand. So Amit Goswami, who was part of What the Bleep and also one of my quantum physics professors in the School of Ministry, he says when we think of things, when we think of things being things, we make reality more concrete than it really is. So when we think of things, the table, even your body, walls, situations and conditions are a little more tricky, but equally so, that when we think of things, we make reality more concrete than it really is. He says that is why we get stuck, because if reality is concrete, he says, then obviously I am insignificant and cannot really change it. And when we feel ourselves to be insignificant and not able to change things, then we play smaller than we would play. We play it safer than we would play. To think that we are powerless to change anything renders us victims of all those things. And what he is saying in the quantum physical language, things form arises out of consciousness. You change consciousness and you change things. So Joe Dispenza also has gone on to become an incredible teacher and has written many, many, many wonderful books. I highly recommend him. He says that everybody has had the experience of making up their mind that they have wanted something. Everyone has the experience of making up their mind, making a decision, committing to that decision, and seeing whatever that was manifest. He says that is quantum physics in action. That is manifesting that is manifesting reality through the use of your power to decide and commit. I actually added that part, that he says that is quantum physics in action. And it's really nothing more than your capacity, ability, responsibility, and ability to decide and then commit to that which you've decided. And when you do that, the world will begin to mold its way. So Ramtha, also in What the Bleep, I don't know why this little book is such a magnificent thing. She says, and she was the spiritual component of What the Bleep, by the way. She essentially said that you are God and you don't know you're God. That's really what she said. You are God. But she says, nobody has ever come along and given you sufficient knowledge about your beautiful self, how you work from the inside out. And she said, why do you have addictions? She said, because you have nothing, you've never dreamt of anything better, because you've dreamt of nothing better. So I love this because in my work in addiction recovery, a lot of the genesis of most addictions is this kind of hopelessness, this kind of negative expectation, this kind of the world sucks and there is nothing I can do about it, that this is who I am and there's nothing I can do about it. These are my horrible circumstances and I am at the effect of them. And it's not to negate the addictive qualities of things we get addicted to, especially substances like drugs and coffee and cigarettes and alcohol. But she's talking about the lack of a higher why, the lack of the kind of self-worth, self-esteem, self-respect that comes with knowing that you're not those circumstances, that there's more possibility in life. And we find that possibility when we find our higher self. We find that possibility when we find out that we are a co-creator. We are a participant in the creation of life, that who we are eminently matters, that it's the furthest from the truth that we are insignificant, that we are significant beyond the beyond significant. And in fact, we in religious science and science of mind and sinister spiritual living, we are really all about a world that works for all. But what we know is that we can't change the world. We've tried to change the world. We've tried to change our husbands and wives. We've tried to change our bosses. We've tried to, and it's just it cannot be done that way. It cannot be done by thinking there's a better way and enforcing that better way on people. The only way it can be done is to raise consciousness in the individual. And then when enough individuals have awakened, then the outer will begin to reflect the inner. So the only thing you can possibly do, which is the most important thing you can do, is to change yourself. Now, so I would say the first step towards that really, or some steps you can take out of tonight, is to begin to muse about, begin to contemplate your higher why. Like a higher why, like what can you commit to or make a decision about that would be meaningful to you? What is most important to you in your life? I mean, imagine, I'm going to tell you how to find this. Imagine that this year is your last year I'll give you till next year. So imagine that next year is your last year on this, in this body, on this planet. Just imagine, and then begin to contemplate what all the things you'd wish you had done or ways you wished you had been. You might get some clues as to what you're really up to in life. Like, what are you up to? What are you about? If you had power beyond belief and at your disposal, everything you needed to make what you're about manifested in the world, whether it has to do with consciousness, or it has to do with the elderly or with children or with animals or with the ecology, whatever. And then decide. Just decide. You can decide, the power of decision, that you can decide to begin to have your life be about that thing. And you don't have to apologize for it. You don't have to explain it or justify it. Your authentic and powerful self, your authentic and powerful quantum self arrived on this earth with a mission, a vision, and the means to execute it. You have everything you need inside of yourself to do it. Everything. We've talked so many times, so much conversation about living from the inside out rather than the outside in. That you don't need to get from the world anything. You don't need to eke out a living. You don't need to eke out friends. You don't need to eke out approval. You don't. You simply have to be your glorious self. So make a decision to change your life so that it reflects those higher ways in your authentic values and desires. And I don't know what that means for you. I think, when I decided, and it was a decision, when I decided that I was not going to waste one more friggin' minute of my life, not one more minute, a lot changed. I quit smoking. I lost 40 pounds. I left a bad marriage. I started my spiritual studies to become a minister. I started caring about myself and my belongings. I started clearing out of my life so that I could have some space and some energy. I mean, it was pretty radical, and it all stemmed from a decision that I wasn't going to waste one more minute. I just wasn't. I wanted the second half of my life to be awesome, extraordinary, amazing, fun, adventuresome. I was tired of being tired and tired of being mad and tired of being helpless. It was a decision. Nothing changed. Nothing in my world changed but me. That's what is there for you. Just decide. And once you decide, then you have to just commit to it. You have to take a stand for yourself, because if you don't take a stand for yourself, nobody else will. That you just say, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. These are the decisions I'm making. Get on board. Josh Groban does this beautiful song, Let Me Fall. I actually used it for my ordination. Let me fall if I must fall. Let me fall if I must fall. And you can join me if you're willing to let me fall, or you can join me if you're willing to fall too, but don't be telling me I can't do it, right? So let that begin to be the activity of your consciousness. Let that just begin to be it. And this could be, I don't know. This could be find a spiritual community, find a tribe, find a path of study, find some, you might, all those negative naysayer friends might have to go, for a minute. You may have to take a vacation from them, because to change your consciousness takes a lot of focus and inner work. And you need to give yourself the time to do that and the space to do that. I'll be right back. My laptop is going to run out of juice in 10 seconds. Don't go away. Note to self, don't do that again. Note to self. Okay, but we're good. We're good. Here we go. Silly. Okay, I'm back. I'd like to have a do-over. Oy vey. Oy vey. So trusting the self, to kind of tie this up for a minute, trusting the self has to do with not trusting your conditioned self, but trusting your unconditioned self, trusting that which is within you to know that you have the kind of support you will need. It's really what the reading was, right? That a whole stream of events issued from the decision raised in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents. And you might have to try this to test it out for yourself. You might have to try it just to make sure that, like little tiny steps. Oh, okay. So if you do all that, quantum physics will kick in. Molecules will begin to rearrange themselves, right? Because thought affects reality. Thought makes things. There's so many tests. They've run so many tests. It's really self-evident now for many, many, many people that even if you pray on a plant and don't pray on that plant grows. They've done experiments where they've had a group of people come and meditate on the crime in a city, and within a period of time, the crime rate goes down. That what we think, how we feel, what we say, what we bring forth moves out and causes things to happen in our world. So stop thinking it's someone else. Stop thinking that if somebody else changes or if the world changes, then you'll change. What's true is when you change, the world will change. So trust yourself. Peace and blessings. All right, so I'm going to pray, but I wanted to share with you. I want to share with you something so fun. For the next 10 weeks, I'm going to do something very special. I'm going to pull up a little slide here. I'm going to do the 10 core concepts of the science of mind, philosophy, faith, and way of life. The foundations class, of the very entry level class for the science of mind philosophy, goes through these 10 core concepts, and they are so powerful and so heart opening. I've just decided to do them. So starting next week, we're going to go through them, and I have them up here just so you can kind of get a sense of what they are. You don't have to do anything. I just wanted to show this to you. So that's going to be our next 10 weeks. So next week on September 6th, we're going to do oneness or unity, oneness. And I hope you'll join me. It'd be like the whole, look, you get to do the whole entry level class with me over 10 weeks, which is incredibly fun. All right. So how about I pray us out? And and I hope to hear how powerful you are. I hope to hear that you invite this self of yourself into your life, and that you make a decision to live your best life ever, to live your most authentic, bodacious life ever. Your resplendent life. By the way, that's my new favorite word, resplendent. So, all right, darlings, let's turn within for a moment. So again, I just invite you to close your outer eyes. Those eyes that see things and think those things are real. Those eyes that see into your past and think the past has power over you. We close them simply to leave all of that behind. And not behind like forgotten, but just leave it out for a minute. Because as you close your outer eyes, you can begin to check in with the self of yourself. You can begin to check into this place within you that is whole, that is perfect, that is complete, that is resplendent, that is bright and shiny, that is positive, that is hopeful, optimistic. And mostly that is filled with a vision and a mission and the capacity to execute it. And so what I know is when we turn within, we're turning within to the one power, the one presence, the one life that I unabashedly call God. And I know that God is not a being somewhere, but is a field of energy, a field of consciousness, a force for love and good and peace and generosity and all of those God qualities that we strive to live and express. And I know that they're all right there within us because we are one with this power and presence. We are not separate or apart from. It is within us. And so when we say we want to live from the inside out, we want to live from the spirit within us to the outside. And so I just simply speak my word into this quantum field of unlimited possibilities, claiming, proclaiming, accepting, and committing to each one of you, each one within the sound of my voice, that we open to and invite in and make welcome this non-physical part of our being that is as real as the physical part. And what I accept is that when we do that, we have holy help. We have help. We've said yes to help. And so not help as the world giveth, but help as God giveth. And so I just simply know that as we leave this time together, that there is an increase in that sense of power, poise, and confidence, that there is a shifting in molecules, so that all of the things we've been working on, as we commit, as we decide and commit, that they resolve themselves with way less effort, way less trauma, way less worry, and that we step into a life that we will love, a life that we will look back on and we will know that we did not waste one single minute, that we lived fully, completely, happily, joyously, and positively. And so it is with gratitude that I just release this word into this quantum field that is only a yes, knowing that the molecules are moving not only on my behalf, but on your behalf, because my word is not limited just to me. It moves out from me into all kinds of little nooks and crannies in this world. And so with this word released, we can leave this time of prayer together, expecting and accepting the fulfillment of the word. And we can do this with high expectation and great joy by saying together, and so it is. Amen. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful evening and a wonderful week. And I will see you next week for the first of the 10 core concepts. Peace and blessings to you.